What's going on, you guys? It's the FPL Penguin back again with another stream for you all. Hope you're all doing good. In today's stream, I'm back. This is the second stream of the day with some awesome special guests. We're going to be talking about how we got on Game Week 11 and be talking about the season so far and questions from you guys as well. So something similar to what I did earlier with Focal, Az and Sham from FPL Happy Hour. So my guest this evening, over the moon to have these guests. Look at all these guests on here, cramming on here. It's a world record. We've got, starting with all the way from his channel, FPL Phillips, a fellow YouTuber. They're all YouTubers, a lot of them. We have got Eddie. We've also got from FPL Happy Hour, Sham's partner in crime, FPL Panda, Rob. And we've also got from FPL Juice, the juiciest YouTube channel out there, teaming up with his mates Ash and James. It's Nick. We've also got as well, to finish it off, the lads from FPL Graduates, Ben and Josh. Lads, how are we doing?
All good. Thanks for having us.
all just should we put our hands up?
No, cheers, lads. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and really appreciate it. But we're here to talk about, like I just said about a minute or two ago, talk about for the next 40 to 50 minutes how we got on Game Week 11, our season so far, something similar to what I said earlier too about what I did stream earlier today, and questions from you guys as well. So we'll get straight into it. If you tuned in early, you know about my team already. I got 33 points, hit the round about the 100k rank for the first time this season, hence the name I've called myself What a Cruel Game Week. So this is how I got on. Look at it now. Foster, 11 points on the bench, -1 for Sanchez. I'm getting more unlucky than that. So going straight into my Game Week 12 potential team. If you did tune earlier, you know I did a -4, my second hit of the season. I brought in Cancelo and Wilson. Just briefly go through this again, what I talked about earlier today. Brought in Cancelo. I'm one of them that missed out on those huge points over the last few weeks from Trent, James, maybe Chilwell, Cancelo, midfielders like Gallagher, Smith-Rowe. And it really hit my rank. It really did. And so I'm down to 169k. And first time this season hitting the 100k rank, as I said. So I need a bit of a battle plan to turn things around. I know it's early days. We're not halfway through the season. So I don't need to really panic or anything like that. So I brought in Cancelo. Just quickly talk about that, City absolutely doing well, clean sheets. Cancelo looking sharp with 4 assists so far this season. He's owned by nearly 30%. I'm not one for taking a hit for a defender, but I just thought to myself, this guy's getting returns. He's looking sharp. He's got some lovely, decent fixtures ahead of him with Everton, who are just looking shaky and hardly look like scoring, just mostly conceding goals. West Ham are there as well. They're seen to concede goals as well, and then they've got a lovely fixture turn right there with Villa, Watford, Wolves, Leeds, Newcastle, and so on. And then I brought in Callum Wilson just to finish it off. New manager. We will talk about with one of the questions, one of the topics later in the stream, how they will do under Eddie Howe. He's only owned by just over 2%. I just thought it's a nice little punt to probably go for. I know it's kind of like, is it a bit of a knee-jerk reaction? It is a bit of a panic move, but I thought to myself, it's only my second hit this season. I've still got all my chips, so it's all chill, it's all cool. So got Brentford, Arsenal, Norwich, and Burnley. Like I said, I'm setting up a team for long term, so I want to see. I'm just looking forward to seeing what the next 5 to 6 fixtures can bring for me with my team. So that's how I'm setting up, and that's my season so far. And anybody got any questions about my team? Would you like to rip it apart or?
Brandon Williams.
Yeah, I know. He's. I'd surprise you at the first person today to mention Brandon Williams. But yeah, but I have got about. How much have I got? I've got about 5.4 million in the bank. So obviously spread that money around and upgrade people like Brandon Williams, who's been an absolute flop. I actually expected better from him. And you're probably thinking, why the hell would you bring a Norwich player in? Listen, it was a punt. It was about 4 million. It was just, I know there's Levermento who was around about that price bracket at the start, but it doesn't help. Well, could he get more game time now with the manager now sacked? Yet to have a new manager. But yeah, any more people want to rip it apart? Anybody? Go for it.
Are you keeping Tony?
Yeah, I'm going to keep Tony. I'm not doing the double up of him and Mbuemo. I'm going to keep Tony. I know. I just take the Mickey, really. You know, no Raya, Antonio and Mbuemo are not scoring. It's like, is that the no goalkeeper effect? I mean, the no Raya effect? I mean, these two aren't scoring. But I like the fixtures. Newcastle, Everton. It's worth a punt. Spurs are still relatively dodgy. Leeds are in there. Watford. So I think it's still good for the next few fixtures, and then I can have a good think about it, and then probably upgrading, because we know about Ronaldo, Manchester United fixture turn probably next 2-3 game weeks, something like that. I know they got Watford, but I wasn't interested in that, so I might do that with the 5.4 if I've still got enough. I don't know, so I might do that. Depends how I change my team. I might want to get Trent in and all that, but that's my bench. Somebody was asked earlier. With Townsend, I'm looking to get rid of as well, because Everton are just absolutely shocking, and I call myself a Liverpool fan. But yeah, so that's it really. Do you want to move on? Should we move on to Eddie? I'll get your team up. You sent me before you all destroy my team and make this.
You can destroy mine. Right?
Yeah, we'll destroy yours, mate. Let me just get it on the screen. 2 days later. Get the right one. Jeez. Right one? There we go. This is your team. Eddie.
Yeah.
Take it away, mate.
It wasn't a terrible week for me. I've had a bit of an up and down season so far. It was pretty average to start with, and the Havertz captaincy failed me, and didn't have Salah captain that week. He had trick against United, and it pretty much plummeted me down to like around 200k plus. So I'm working my way gradually back up. And yeah, I've done all right. Again, bench Foster, but for Ramsdale, so it wasn't too bad at all with 7 points. And generally, I'm in decent place about my team. I'm feeling pretty okay with it all. There's some issues that I'm looking to decide on with transfers for ahead of game week 12. I'm looking at potentially Azpilicueta, who again just didn't feature last week down on the bench. Him moving across to Reece James. There's also a few other issues that Havertz, when depending on the Werner and the Lukaku timescales when they're coming back with their injuries, that I've been focusing on and just wanting to keep an eye on whether I need to look to ship him on maybe to someone like a Son, or just a simple more sideways or downgrade move. And Bemo was a bit of a letdown transfer. I brought him in quite a bit later than everyone else. I brought him in last week for that game instead of Smith Rowe, which I did partly due to some fixtures that I think look better for Brentford over the next couple of games than some of the Arsenal ones. They face Liverpool this week, for example, where I do want to start Mbuemo in my team. I can't afford to bench him, so it did play a part of my decision making. I'm willing to hold on to Vardy. I think for after that Chelsea game, the fixtures are pretty decent as well. But yeah, just a pretty average and boring looking team. It's becoming just more and more template as I play around and try and get my way back up the rankings a little bit. But yeah, I'm interested to know your guys' thoughts, and it would definitely be appreciated.
I think it's a lovely team. I'm not going to rip it apart, but probably question marks, as I like to say in my videos. Maybe Jimenez. We know obviously he had that huge injury he had. Was it earlier this year? Great to see him back in football. What's your thoughts on Jimenez? Are you going to keep him? I don't know what Wolves' next couple of fixtures are like, but what's your thoughts on Eddie on Jimenez? Are you not tempted to go to Hwang, the other Wolves forward, or are you, because he's a bit cheaper, isn't he, than Jimenez, or saves you a bit of money? But are you happy with Jimenez and the fixtures ahead for Wolves?
I do think
Jimenez not-
that Hwang's better value than Jimenez. Jimenez has a few things going in his favour. He seems more talismanic and penalties, etc. We've got that Norwich and Burnley games in 13 and 14 that I think I'll just keep Jimenez for. It's not really a case of being worried about my forwards at the moment because there's no one I'd really like to move to. They're all performing just as bad as each other at the moment.
It's a bit tricky up in the forwards.
Strikers all over the place. So I'm more inclined to make a move that's in midfield or at the back because that seems to be where most of the points are coming from in game weeks so far this season. And yeah, that's my thinking behind just holding firm for now and seeing like if, for example, players like Callum Wilson, who you brought in, do start firing under new management, then I'll take that jumping on a bit where we've had a few games to see is that kind of going to become a trend or is there going to be a striker who actually decides to hit the back of the net once or twice a game.
You've got, it's interesting with Jimenez, obviously Norwich and Burnley, after those games, they've got Liverpool, City, Brighton and Chelsea as well. It's a tough little run after those two easy games. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I think it might be worth
15,
jumping on straight after.
Yeah, and there's always players that I'm thinking, I need to make downgrades and be able to fund Jimenez up to Ronaldo in game for a fixture swing, or is it around 14, 15 that time? So maybe it'll be a case of looking to get another premium forward in. But again, downgrading I could always upgrade Vardy to Ronaldo, so downgrading to Hwang could do something like that. But again, I don't really want to bring Hwang in because of those fixtures. So it would be nice to see a few more forward options emerging that actually take my fancy. But at the moment, I'm just gonna hold firm and stick to my guns. But I'd be lying if I said that I've been pleased with how he's been doing. He's been okay, but none of my forwards have been bagging me a load of points, as is the case with most managers.
In an ideal world, like a DCL or a Bamford coming back from injury after the internationals, if they can hit the ground running, then that opens up a couple of other options, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely been a miss. And Calvert-Lewin was one of the best options at the start of the season, and they have been missed. It was a shame I brought Bamford in myself, and eventually he got injured like a week or so later, wasn't it? So it's been disappointing. And I think that there are returning players, and it's a good point that there will be more options, not just from players hitting form, but also players returning from injury there. So waiting and seeing on forward seems the most sensible thing for me right now.
We'll move on to FPL Panda's team. Rob, I've got your ID number here, so this is going to be fun. No, this is easy. It's an easy one. There we go. I like it when they're just short like that. You're not just like typing. I'll get there.
Numbers.
Right, here we go. Here's your team. What do you think of your game week 11? What's your plans? What do you think about your season so far?
I mean, my game week 8, 9, and 10 was pretty amazing. Game week 9, I'd had a really bad start to the season. I was sitting at like 1.2, 1.3 million, and then game week 9 pushed me from 1.2 to 300k. That week. I stuck with Salah. I had Mount. I decided not to jump on the bandwagon with Havertz, which I got away with. I still think for those that made that move, I thought it was the right move to do. Just for me, it wasn't. And then last week was okay, and then this week was just a bit of a drab, really. Last week I used the fact that I don't really want to be banking on a double Brighton defence to play Gaeta instead of Sanchez, and I had Veltman as on my bench, and there was I was just unsure about Chilwell, Rudiger, whether both of them would play, and I just could have maybe used that sort of logic this week, where doubling up on a Brighton defence, although it's against Newcastle, who have been shocking in front of goal. In hindsight, maybe should have just halved it up and backed Palace for a clean sheet this week. Cancelo kind of saved the week, a return off Smith Rowe, but then the front three just blanks all round. And Bumo, I brought him in this week, and nothing there. But I mean, I made the move from Mount to him which was kind of last minute after Tuchel basically said Mount's not going to play on Saturday. So thought, yeah, take the gamble. Didn't work out. Now it's just deciding where to go from here. I've still got my wild card intact, which I plan to use in game week 15. So yeah, I'm half tempted. I've got a bit of money in the bank as well. I'm half tempted to actually do Mbumo up to Son, and then either one of my Chelsea or Cancelo downwards to someone else. I'm like 0.7 off doing Mbumo to Son. So it's just a bit of food for thought for the next 10 days to decide where I'm going to go with it. But it's still, I mean, where am I at the moment? I think I'm 400k or something like that. 318k. So yeah, with the wild card in hand, I was always aiming to be sort of in and around the sort of $250,000 mark, knowing that I could push that wild card button and target the fixture swings for City, United, Liverpool, Leicester even, all with sort of nice little runs of fixtures for 3 or 4 weeks. So yeah, hopefully, it can see that rank just dramatically go down.
Yeah, so it's a good team, and what you say you're about just 0.1 off or something from doing Mbuemo to Son.
Oh no, it's 0.7 off. So I've got to make a downgrade somewhere. I still like Antonio. If I'm not going to come off Ronaldo before United play Watford. I'm a United fan. We've been awful recently, but I think I've actually got the option. I've probably got the option next week to take the gamble and go against Salah, which I probably will. Captain Ronaldo, because I think Salah can. I mean, he can. He probably will return against Arsenal, but Ronaldo's got the potential there to go big. It's just about seeing where to make the moves, where not to. I mean, we saw from West Ham on Sunday that like any of them can return against anyone really. So I wouldn't be put off having Antonio in my team in game week 13 against City because he could return. They could get a result. You never know with them at the moment.
Has anyone got any questions for Robs?
I was thinking, can you do Sarr to Son? Wouldn't that give you more money than Mbuemo? I'm not sure how much Sarr
actually, is. Sarr to Son gets me the 0.7. So I was looking at Mbuemo. Yeah, Sarr to Son gets me the 0.7. It maybe take a little gamble on Conte having a bit of time and move on to Reguilon. For any of those free pricier defenders that gets me the money from one of them down to Reguilon. So maybe even Rudiger down to Reguilon. It seems more of an attacking move. That's if Spurs decide that they're going to keep clean sheets and play decent football. They're very much like United at the moment.
It's a big if.
I think out of that Spurs, I do want Heung-min Son in my team. I think it's the Leeds fixture: Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, Brighton. It's a nice run. I know that Az was on earlier and he said about being ahead of the curve with it. I think it's with Son, it's probably best to be ahead of the curve. I think if you're planning on Harry Kane, it might be a wait and see because he has really dropped off something.
Yeah, his head's not in the right place, Harry Kane. I think Son's the much better attacking Spurs option to go for those lovely fixtures. I think Kane with the price tag as well.
It's the extra point when he scores, and if they do keep a clean sheet, then
saves your money as well.
There. Yeah, he's cheaper and just a better overall asset.
Well, we'll move on to Nick's team now. Just bring it up just like that. Nick from FPL Juice. How's your season going? How did Game Week 11 go for you? And what's your plans for going to the next game week? Early plans?
Yeah, so it started really well. The season started really well. First 3 game weeks, I was up to 20-something K. And then it gradually just slipped back a little bit. And I was hovering around 100K. And then it went back to nearly 200K. And now I'm slowly working my way back. I'm about sitting at 150K so far, which I'm quite happy with so far. So good. The game week, obviously, I got the same score as Eddie, and just went about it a slightly different way. Obviously, I dropped Cancelo, sold Cancelo last week because he was never going to do well against Man United. So that was a great decision. But the only kind of little bit of a silver lining was that I brought in Reece James for him. So it wasn't a complete huge swing, but it was pretty painful to see him pop up with those couple of assists. As everyone was gutted with Sanchez, 94th minute or whatever it was, to see that as a -1, especially painful when you see Ben Foster sitting on the bench with 11 points. But I guess that's 90% of Twitter FPL seem to have that, so I can't moan too much. Really pleased with the rest of the team. I think I'm in reasonable shape. Trent Chilwell-James, I think, is a really nice, solid sort of setup going forwards. Certainly, I brought in Smith Rowe this week, so a little bit late to the party, but he did the business and rewarded, obviously, against Watford. And certainly, Rafinha, he was I've half been thinking about getting rid of him, but he just kind of pops up the last couple of weeks now, popped up with a goal. It's making it quite hard to drop him. But it's just a case of how much longer he's gonna hold on to that spot, because there's so many good options around that price point. I really like the look of Jared Bowen as well. He just seems so involved against Liverpool. And I think West Ham are just having a great season, so I'd quite like to get on him. And at the minute, he's still a little bit of a differential, which I always quite like. Salah, obviously, everyone's got. Son, like Rob was saying, I've kind of wanted him for those fixtures. Had him at the start of the season, then dropped him when he got injured, and I've kind of brought him back about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's not done an awful lot since, but the main thing is keeping him for these lovely turn of fixtures coming up. That said, I thought the same about Tony, so brought him in for the nice fixtures, and it's just been disgusting. He's let me down at every chance possible. So I've lost faith. I'm quite emotional with FPL. So and literally as soon as that game finished, I booted him out. I had the exact money to go from him to Callum Wilson. So my change for international break has already been done, assuming I don't do take any hits. So I've kept the same team, just swapped out Tony for Callum Wilson, which new manager, and Callum Wilson's I can't remember exactly what it is now, but he's returned pretty much. I think he's only not returned in 2 of the games he's played this year, because obviously he's been injured, but when he has played, he's obviously done well. And being the team that Newcastle are, when he does do well, typically he'll get the bonus as well. So I'm quite pleased to have him in my team. And Vardy, that's the only one like Vardy what to do. But like Eddie said, there's not really anyone to get excited about bringing in. If you get rid of him, what are you going to do? Really, there's no one that's particularly exciting. So I'm quite happy just to let him plod along. And he's the sort of player that can suddenly just go on a 5-week, scoring spree. So I'm happy to leave him as be. And Gallagher, just doing what he does, really. So seemingly there's a lot of value in midfield this year, and you don't need to spend a lot up top. You could easily, I've actually got nothing in the bank, but I can easily see why some of you guys have got like 4 million or so in the bank, because you don't really need to spend that budget to get the players that are most in form at the minute. And I've got Antonio on the bench, so again, sort of gives me a few options. Manquillo is the only one the only person I'm thinking of changing really, other than Tony, is Manquillo, and maybe getting in Ben Johnson for West Ham, because obviously they're looking quite sharp, and he's just risen from 3.9 to 4, so I could just do a straight swap for him, but I'm not it's not worth a hit for sure. And who knows, he could be he could be the saviour under Howe, couldn't he? He could be that. He could be the Matt Ritchie of 2021.
Yeah, don't push it. Go on. Go on, mate.
Just a note on Ben Johnson. Do we think he'll continue to start with Soufal, but it's looking like he'll be back and fully fit?
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
I think it's a bit of a gamble.
It's definitely a bit of a gamble. But I don't know. There's not much. There's no one at 4 million that's not at the moment. I don't think.
He has smashed it. Yeah, you can see there, he smashed it in the, apart from obviously the Liverpool game, but the 3 games before is like amazing value for money. It's just maybe that was the curve that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? You look at him and think, oh, I wish I got in early. But realistically, you're not playing him. You know, I've got Livramento on the bench, knowing that he's going to do better than one of my outfield players at least. But you have to play him. Whereas, be it Ben Johnson or Mankia, they're only going to sit on the bench, really. But, yeah, it's nice to get him in. There's a nice little change. If he did keep his place, obviously, I don't know how long's Ogbonna out for?
I think, Ogbonna potentially maybe Johnson or Soufal goes over to play on the left side and Cresswell slots into the back 3.
That's the only thing that might make it interesting. I had Cresswell all season, but I feel because obviously he's not on as many set pieces now with Bowen taking a lot of them, it's kind of devalued him a little bit. But I think he's such a good player. I had him last year pretty much the whole season, but this year it's I got him a little bit early once Chelsea looked so good.
Who are you starting next week? Are you starting Livramento?
I never like to learn my lessons, so probably not. Let me have a look at what I've actually got. No, I am actually, yeah, against Norwich. So I've actually benched, because I guess it's a little bit of an easy, because Vardy's playing against Chelsea, isn't he? So I've benched him, and then Smith Rowe against Liverpool away. I think that's a bit of an ask, even though he's in great form. So yeah, I'm lining up 4-4-2 next week. I'm going to Callum Wilson, hopefully, is going to be the difference against Brentford, because Brentford have just stitched me up the last 3 weeks.
Watch him win this week.
They were 100%. Tony will score this week. Now I've got Tony. Just like Cancelo.
Tony hat trick.
Just like Cancelo punished me this week, Tony will do it next week. It's a guarantee.
Awesome. We'll move on to Ben's team. You shared your screen. Do you want to put your screen on, Ben?
Yeah, let me just do that for you. I've shared my screen. I think. You can put it on. Yeah,
just checking.
Yeah, there we go.
I
got 63 points. I think it was this week, up to about 138 sort of thousand in the world. I was pretty happy with it, but then it was annoying that I had a few bench points here and there. But yeah, in goal Sanchez, we know what happened. Like I brought him in on a wild card last week or the week before, so it's not ideal. But once the clean sheet points are gone, I was like, I probably won't watch this game anymore. And then I saw the red card, and I was like, yeah, that probably sums up the luck. But it's one where we move. Sanchez still has good fixtures, so hopefully, just like the 1 week out, have to play Ben Foster in goal, but he's a legend anyway, so why not just vibe with Ben Foster against Man United? The Chelsea defenders, I was a bit annoyed that they conceded, but it was always going to happen when I doubled up on them, realistically. 2 points apiece. I mean, it's not the end of the world because a lot of people have doubled up on Chelsea defenders. Trent and Cancelo, I mean, I've been banging on about Trent for weeks. The big returns were coming. They finally came. And, 12 points in a 3-2 loss for Liverpool, I'm just going to take every single day. Same goes Cancelo. He was one that I was debating benching this week for Antonio. So glad I went Cancelo, because otherwise I probably would be a lot more dissatisfied with my team this week. Salah captain, I don't really need to say much about him. Neither do I need to say much about Son. I mean, Spurs didn't. I think Josh was saying they didn't have a shot on target in that game, which is surprising, but we move. Rafinha, Smith Rowe. I mean, wow. I was driving home from Portsmouth or something on the Sunday and saw Smith Rowe scored when I got back, and that was it. I was buzzing and loving life, especially, you know, Arsenal only scored the one goal and Smith Rowe was involved in it. Tony, you know, it's one of them cases where you look back on it and you go, I really only brought him in for the Norwich fixture, and then he's not really done much in it. So we hope that, you know, Eddie Howe hasn't, you know, drilled that defence and got them quite 100% just yet, so we can hopefully see some returns. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with my team, pretty happy with my rank. It's been pretty steady, to be honest, all season with my points. Haven't had the crazy high weeks that I've seen a lot of people have, but I haven't also had really, really terrible weeks. So it's kind of been steady so far, and very template as well.
Cool. Yeah, it's just that defence that's just making me incredibly jealous. Just on the screen. Just very, very lucky to have like double Chelsea defence with Chilwell there, attacking returns. Trent plays as a bloody attacking midfielder. Cancelo, who's just going assist mad. But yeah, very unlucky with the Son move, because I brought in Son last game week for that Everton game, and I'm not worried myself, still being a Son owner. I think they'll come good, especially with these fixtures. I don't know, so we just got to keep faith in that Son pick. I'd rather own him over Kane any day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He looked a lot more lively, didn't he? Like in the Europa Conference League, game. Accidentally slandered Tottenham without even realising it. Good. But yeah, like you say, like I think it'll take a little bit of time for Conte, and I know a lot of us are talking about like holding off on those Spurs defensive assets just for now. But I see no reason why like Spurs can't get going under Conte, because he is a really good manager. We've seen it at every club he's been. The players perform under him. So I'm hoping that, you know, over the next few weeks, Son comes good.
Well, who's on your bench, Ben?
On my bench is, let me just get it up for you. It's Livramento, Antonio, and Ben Foster. So lots of points on the bench. But like you were saying, Nick, like I was always going to bench Livramento. There's no way that I'm like benching any of the players that I started, especially with like the fixtures and the players themselves. Someone's got to take the hit with a strong bench like that. So it's unfortunate, but it's not too many points that I've lost out on. So I guess it could be worse.
It is mad at the minute, isn't it? Really, what you want to do is have no strikers at all.
Yeah,
do you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like 100%, you would rather have played Livramento. Norwich is probably the only fixture you'd play Tony in.
I think if Brentford were playing any other team in the league, I'd probably rather have Livramento in the team and just give FPL a nudge and a tenner and be like, can you just get rid of my striker for this week? I think that's what I would have done.
Just make that a chip. 5-5-0 formation 1 week.
Yeah,
get rid of the bench boost and just have that.
Yeah,
do you remember when they used to do all-out attack when you could play 2-5-3 for one week a season? Needs to be the reverse of that. Part the bus. That's all.
Yeah.
They need to bring that back. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think we should have more chips. Definitely have more like exciting chips.
3's not enough. 3's not enough. Take it too seriously. Don't have 3.
I get too bored and play them early. That's the problem.
That's what I used to do. Just waste them.
And who are you benching for game week 12 as it stands, apart from Smith Rowe?
So currently I'm benching obviously Smith Rowe, and I'm benching Rudiger as well. What I'm kind of hoping for is Chilwell to kind of go to his old club and do the business and get a goal, and maybe Chelsea concede. I'm not sure whether Chelsea keep another clean sheet against Leicester. But again,
Leicester
it's
really poor though.
It's a really tough decision.
Mate, I've just taken Vardy out of my team. Don't be saying stuff like this.
I don't know, that Chelsea's underlying defensive numbers, like they're not the best in the league, and they're not like it's kind of a bit deceptive, isn't it? That they've been keeping a load of clean sheets, but they've been getting a bit lucky with it here or there. Like I couldn't believe that I got 12 points in my defence from that Brentford game. Like it just blew my mind that Brentford didn't score. So,
but they have got Mendy, haven't they? That's the thing. You look at Alisson's performance for Liverpool at the weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a great keeper. I'm not kind of. He's not all of a sudden become terrible, but Mendy's just been so good. He's worth investing in Chelsea defence just for that.
I think it's the same thing that I said about like Damari Gray at the start of the season. Like the stats that he's producing is just unsustainable for me. And like as usually when something's unsustainable, I know full well when Reading were, massively overperforming XG at the start of the season, thought we were going up and absolutely bottled it come the end of the season. It catches up with you. So that's what I'm kind of banking on based on my benching decision so far. But obviously, it could very well change over the sort of next week or so with 2 free transfers, which I have no idea what I'm going to use for yet.
Cool. Cheers, Ben. We'll move on to Josh now. Do you want to share your screen, Josh? Or
yeah, no worries.
Cool.
Get up now. Should be ready now.
Yeah. Cool, mate.
Wicked.
Bring it on. There you go.
Right. So 66 this week. I didn't think it was too bad considering a few of the things that didn't go my way. Obviously, Sanchez being one of those. The defense was just dreamy though. Couldn't ask for better than that. Obviously, Reece James getting the return when all the other Chelsea defenders didn't, which was nice. Had him for his 21 point haul, whatever it was, which was awesome. I think every game he started, he's returned so far this season. So he's just, when he does start, I know he's a bit of a rotation risk, but he's just unreal. Me and Ben banged on about Trent. He needs to get those big returns for his price that he has done. He's just so good. Love owning him. And same with Cancelo. I was never benching him. I'm a United fan, and I just knew City were going to do some form of Liverpool to us. So, he was always going to get played for me. 2 assists and a clean sheet is much better than what I thought would happen. But, sad as United fan, but at least you got that silver lining with a bit of Cancelo in your defence.
That was your insurance, wasn't it?
Exactly, I'm sad here, but, exactly. Livramento actually came off my bench. I was a bit lucky with him. As you say, like you're always going to bench him because there's just so many good fixtures about. But I'll come on to it in a bit. Who actually came off for him? Son, like you mentioned earlier, ahead of the curve with him. Although they didn't have a shot on target, I thought they did look a little bit dangerous going forward. Obviously, it's going to take time for that Spurs team. I think this international break's perfect. He'll get them all into line, and hopefully we'll see good things going into that better fixture run. Rafinha 9-pointer, like you said, it's hard to take him out. He's probably the player that I was going to take out first after my wildcard because I've got 2 free transfers this week. But you just can't take him out when he's scoring goals. He's Leeds' most dangerous threat. So if Leeds are scoring, usually Rafinha's part of it. So you need him in there. Foden next, I thought we were unlucky. Hit the post. Thought he's really lively, to be fair. Obviously, everything went down that left-hand side with him and Cancelo. A little bit unlucky with him hitting the post late on. Salah captain as always. And Mbeumo and Tony, obviously, everyone's slandering Brentford. But I think beforehand, everyone would have said one option is definitely needed. They were quite unlucky maybe not to get a return. I think they had a Tony assist to Mbeumo goal ruled out for offside. So maybe a bit unlucky, but I think Brentford in general have maybe dropped off a little bit against these like worser teams and maybe not up for the fight compared to facing like a Liverpool or Chelsea. Maybe it just doesn't do it for them, but we'll wait and see. I'll keep both of them for the Newcastle fixture, I imagine. As you can see, I've got Iheanacho on the bench. Sort of went for him as a punt on my wild card, but as you mentioned earlier, Leicester just not really even playing him, which I think he's been one of their best players when he has played. So he'll be coming out for me this week. Looking at Wilson as well, I think, as you mentioned earlier, it seems like when Wilson does play, he does always seem to score. So it's always a bonus. And then I do have Van Dijk on the bench as well. I've gone for the double Liverpool instead of the Chelsea, just because it just saves the headache of like worrying. I've already got Reece James and Cancelo, who are, Cancelo not so much at the minute, but potential rotation risks. So I went with Van Dijk, a bit more pricey, but I think you just save yourself that headache. And Liverpool's defence is probably along the same lines. I think when I'd done my wild card, they all had the same clean sheet. So if they're facing an easy team, you'd expect them to keep a clean sheet. So yeah, that is the team.
Nice one. The double Brentford attack's interesting. Tony and Mbeumo. But like I said, some nicest fixtures coming around the corner. Well, we thought about the other like Norwich and stuff, but they got beat by Norwich, didn't they? So
yeah.
So it's interesting. I think probably going for the one Brentford attack is more safer at this moment of time. I don't know what's going on, Brentford. They were starting the season off so well. I hate to say it again, the Raya effect. It can't be just because of a bloody goalkeeper. They're not bloody scoring. It's just ludicrous. I mean, it really is. But yeah, it's a nice team. What's everyone else's thoughts on Josh's team? Any questions?
Strong. I'm not sure. Like Van Dijk's a weird one for me. Like I know how good he can be, but there's some real attacking value out there from the defensive positions at the minute. But I'm not. It's obviously, he's been really good so far this seain. But it's just. I know he can.
No, Nick, don't hold back. Give him stick. Give him stick.
Josh, why's your team so shit?
I mean, I'm 37k, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah. It's rubbish, mate. It's rubbish.
Are you benching Van Dijk again?
I think I'm playing 5 back at the minute. As I have my brown and black kit. So yeah, I think let me bring it up actually.
Is that Rafinha bench then?
This is what it's looking like. So we're benching Mbuemo for one of the two, and then Ian Nacho obviously because I just don't think he's playing. That defensively, obviously, I think 5 at the back is generally not even a bad decision considering how poor the striking options are. Obviously, there will be goals this week, no doubt about it, but I don't think there's anyone there that screams buy me. Even Wilson's a bit like, is he gonna have that impact under how is it going to take time? It's one of those where you can wait and see easily, can't you?
Simon, am I the only one who didn't have Sanchez?
I think so.
People are not playing Big Ben Foster this week. Probably starting now for Ramsdale just so I don't miss out.
I went with the Gaeta Sanchez as like a rotation from the start of the team. So I kind of spotted around 13, 14, 15, that was going to be the time I wanted to wildcard. And for the first sort of 13 or so game weeks, there was a reasonable rotation apart from game week 10, when obviously one of them played City, the other played Liverpool, which I got away with. But other than that, one of them has had a reasonable fixture, so it's been quite nice rotating between the two. I'm not sure whether I'll keep both for the second half though. Until the next wild card. I'm half tempted to just keep them both because both Palace and Brighton are they're performing defensively well. Never thought I'd say that about Palace, but they are.
Yeah, Palace are third, I think, for in positive way for expected clean sheets, and the same for expected goals conceded. They're third best in that regard, which I thought was quite shocking to see. But I think that's just, they have been pretty
shows with how they've been maybe going for with their attacking. They seem a lot more confident to get out and attack teams, which actually made them a better team to what they used to be awful to watch.
Yeah, just sitting back and inviting pressure before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's. I never thought I'd have Gaeta through my wild card, and it's probably going to happen. It's either that or Ben Foster for one of them, which I know who I'd rather. I would rather spend the extra 0.5 and have the option of a decent rotation.
I can't believe Van Dijk is 6.7 million, Josh.
Yeah, I think I had him before his second price rise. I think he's 6.6 for me. Yeah.
Wow.
But I think he's outscored Robertson because Robertson's been so poor.
He's outscored Robertson. Are you not tempted by Diaz, save?
Yeah, I think it was just mainly because rotation. Obviously, we've seen Diaz be rotated a little bit. But one thing that has bugged me by picking him is that I can't move to Jota now. I have to take him out to go to Jota. And obviously with Firmino out, that is a big. It's ruined the transfer plan. So I was like, I'll get Jota in now. Firmino's out, forgetting that I had triple Liverpool, which is quite frustrating. But yeah, there's swings and roundabouts with it. I think in hindsight, probably wouldn't have done it again. But then again, I don't fancy Chelsea double when how much they rotate. We see Chalobah and everyone coming in. And same with City, less to a degree. Obviously, there's not been as much rotation in defence this season, but I just wanted to play it safe and I had the money to do it. So,
you know what the fix is for that, mate? Triple Chelsea. Let's get 3 of them.
Just go for it, mate.
3 of them, and 2 of them are bound to play. And then you got Livramento on the bench.
You're probably more likely to pick 3 defenders than you are 3 midfielders that are going to play every week.
Literally. They basically are midfielders, aren't they?
I still haven't forgiven Jota for that 2-yard miss. He blazed over the bar and very early on in the season. So I could do Havertz to him, but like I'm just so off by Jota at the moment. Despite the good fixtures, keeping Van Dijk's not a bad idea at all. I'd probably be tempted by Chilwell or like Ricky Elon if Spurs do start firing. But they've got Southampton, Wolves, Villa, and Newcastle before game week 17. So you definitely see some clean sheets there for sure.
There are some players that just like you know that they might be good, but because they've jinxed you before, you just can't go back.
yeah.
It's like Trossard's done it for me before. So no matter how well he now does, he's never coming back. He's never coming back in my team.
It's that emotional.
He can finish on 30 goals. He's not coming back.
Right, we'll move on now to the questions now from you guys, and then we'll wrap things up very, very soon. If you've enjoyed the stream, hit that like button, really appreciate it, and do consider subscribing and subscribe to all these legends on the stream right now. Links to all the socials are in the description down below. Really am grateful over the moon to have them on the second guest stream of today. We're going to be talking about one or two things, a few questions from you guys, but also I want to talk about, start off first, is Eddie Howe and Newcastle. The Eddie Howe era. How is he gonna get on? He's got former players there from Bournemouth like Ritchie, Wilson, Fraser. Newcastle, they like second bottom now. Are they still second bottom in the league? And been bought by big owners about a month or 2 ago. But what's our thoughts on Eddie Howe and Newcastle? Do you think Eddie Howe's the right manager? We'll start off with Eddie. And then we'll go around. What's your thoughts on the appointment of Eddie Howe? Do you think he's the right man for the job? Get the best out of Callum Wilson because he's got good chemistry with him and Fraser and Ritchie.
Yeah, I do. I think that's only a bonus as well, really, that he's had a few of them before and managed some of them. But I personally just rate Eddie Howe as a manager, and I do love his style of managing, which is probably makes me a bit biased, but I do think he'll do great things in Newcastle. I think he's a good man to appoint. Just the videos that I was seeing of them in the training ground when his first day or whatever it was, and he was running around demonstrating and taking a real hands-on approach, which I think that could do Newcastle some good and lift their morale a bit from a team that obviously don't want to get relegated, and they've brought in some managerial quality to ensure that they don't get relegated under the new ownership. And it's a quality appointment. There's no doubt about that, really. I think that they will do better under him. It's how long does that take to keep going? We see that with Conte as well. It's a very similar situation where you're sure that long term it's the best move, 100%. Eddie Howe's got a bit of a bigger job to do in regards to getting Newcastle out of the relegation zone so that they don't fall into any kind of worry about being relegated towards the end of the season. But I think that Newcastle options will become good picks, and I think generally with Newcastle, when I look at them as FPL options, it's Callum Wilson or no one, and most of them, unless they're in some serious form. I'm still not convinced by, say, Maximan, even when he was in a bit of form. I just think Wilson's the most suited FPL asset by an absolute margin for a few of the reasons that we've mentioned. So it'll be Wilson or no one for me, which will probably be the case with a lot of FPL managers, but I do hope that they do well, and I hope that they thrive underneath the management of Howe.
Yeah. Anyone else? Would you agree with Eddie? The appointment of Eddie Howe? Anybody want to jump in?
A lot of people forget that, like, everyone obviously remembers, like, a couple of years ago with Bournemouth, it all went quite horribly wrong. There was issues with Ryan Fraser. I think he refused to play, didn't he, at some point, and stuff. But everyone forgets where he came from with Bournemouth. Like, they were pretty much, I think they were like 91st out of the 92 teams in the Football League, and he took them from League Two up to the Premier League. And he did a great job there with very little budget. We know that in January he's going to get a bit of money to spend. Probably need to shore up the defence a bit. Maybe some backup for Callum Wilson, because we know that he's quite injury prone. If he can sort of spend the money and improve the team where it needs to be improved, like urgently, then I'm pretty sure that they've got other players there, the likes of Wilson, St. Maximin, that they can keep them up. It'll be interesting to see going into the second half of the season, especially. I think in the next 4 weeks for Newcastle, it's about damage limitation and just try and pick up points where, as and when you can. They're quite lucky that, I mean, they've got Brentford, then Arsenal, then they've got Norwich, Burnley. I mean, those 2 games back to back they're huge games for them. I mean, then they've got Leicester, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Everton as their next 5 after that. But at least if they can pick up sort of 7 or 8 points from the next 4, then it might give them that bit of confidence and belief in themselves, because that's what they've lacked. I think they've just lacked anyone having any belief in them, which, I mean, they probably weren't getting that management under Steve Bruce.
We'll move on to the next question, and then we'll get more in then. Next question is from Wishad. Hope I pronounced that right. Best 3 forwards for the next 5 game weeks. I think the screen back up the fixtures. What are you lads thinking? The best 3 forwards for the next 5 game weeks. We'll start off with Josh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a decision for me, to be fair, with Iheanacho and Tony. I was looking earlier today. I think I'm tempted by Hwang just because of his price, and I think Wolves, they also have some not too bad fixtures with Norwich and Burnley, obviously the main ones. I think West Ham, maybe with that Ogbonna injury, I think maybe could be got out. They have conceded a few goals this season. The only issue I have with Wolves, though, is that they don't tend to score a lot. It's usually that 1 goal a game sort of philosophy still there. Other than that, it's just tough. I think Wilson would be my other shout. Obviously, Brentford, Arsenal, Norwich and Burnley, the next 4 is not bad. But generally, other than that, I just probably hold off if you can, and maybe just wait and see whoever picks up form the fastest. I feel like Ronaldo, when United's fixtures come good, he's going to be the option that everyone's going to jump on, because everyone's got no forwards that are scoring at the minute.
Nick, we'll go to you, mate. What do you think? Best 3 forwards in your opinion?
I think to be fair, 2 of them I've got, right? So I genuinely, but I'm not just saying that because I got them. I do think Callum Wilson, like we just said, has got some lovely fixtures, and as long as he can stay fit, I think he's a great shout. And then weirdly, I feel like if Leicester can just get a little bit of form, like I wouldn't put it past Jamie Vardy just to pop off. So obviously Chelsea next, but then Watford, Southampton have been okay, but then Villa and Newcastle, if Newcastle don't shore up, then there's definitely goals for Vardy in those next few games. I guess the one that I don't have, which, Tottenham, everyone's been saying how good those fixture runs are, but who are you going to go? You've only got Harry Kane. So in terms, if I was pushed to pick one other, God knows. Dare I say Chris Wood?
Say it. Oh, no. What are we thinking of?
I know that there was a shout for Pookie last night, wasn't there? By someone not too far away from me. So I won't go as far as Pookie. But listen, I think Chris Wood could be a shout. Palace, Tottenham, Wolves, Newcastle. Who knows?
I've been bit by Wood already this season, man. It's not good.
I mean, it just goes to show, doesn't it, the fact that his name's even coming up in this conversation. I think it's a shame for Arsenal. I think if Lacazette was getting not pulled off and leaving Aubameyang, who's been horrendous on the pitch every game, I think if Lacazette was getting regular minutes, he'd be quite a good shout once the Liverpool game's out the way. Newcastle, Man United have, we know they've been struggling, and Everton and Southampton. I think that would be a reasonable little run, but you just can't take a chance on him, unfortunately.
We'll go on to the next question now, and it is best differentials to keep an eye on. This from FPL Maestro. Appreciate it, mate, for your question. We'll go straight to Ben. Ben, what differentials have you got your eye on?
Kind of putting me on the spot a little bit here, but to be honest, there's a couple. I think you've got to probably play the fixtures at this point. I know form over fixtures and everything like that. Everyone's kind of has a say in that, but I think picking up a City player that's kind of playing every week is probably quite crucial from this point onwards. I mean, I like the look, and Pep, it's clear to see, likes how Gabriel Jesus is playing on the right wing this season, so that's always an option up top. In terms of other options, Bernardo Silva, I mean, he's played loads of minutes in the Premier League this season. So for me, he's always a differential option to look at. And in terms of others, I think, I wouldn't at this point in the season go out of your way to try and find that differential who you think is going to pop off. Because as we've seen so far this season, going template has been the way to go forwards. And, the big scorers like Salah and the high-end players like that have been popping off and getting returns. So I don't see any reason why you should go like uber differential and kind of, go a bit outside the box and pick a player that, you're picking not for the stats, but for the fact that they're just differential. I think going template at this point in the season is probably the best way to go forwards.
Yeah, just to bring up Ramanathan's message, appreciate it, mate, as Cornet, the attacking winger for Burnley. You touch on the Chris Wood, what Nick was talking about earlier. Another good attacking option, Cornet. I mean, I think it was Steve-O from Elite FPL brought it up on Twitter, and I came across. I was considering him, but I never brought him in. He seems a good player, a nice differential to go for. I don't know what you lads think.
He's been playing as a second striker, isn't he?
I don't know what you lads think.
If you watch him, he's been kind of been given a very free role. Doesn't seem to be too kind of set in his position. He really drifts across. I think he's a good option. It's just because he plays for Burnley, it kind of just stops you. But but then again,
probably the least Burnley player that has ever played for Burnley.
Yes, yeah. Well, do you remember Jay Rodriguez back in the day was quite a creative, exciting player. Now he's basically
Chris Wood.
He's
Chris
Wood Mark II. He's just a long-haired Chris Wood. But yeah, I think definitely he's a good option. But for Claret and Blue, I'd be looking at those two West Ham boys. Fornals 2.1% owned and Bowen at 2% owned. I think they offer some really good differential value if that's the way you want to go.
Yeah, that takes you on to Yusuf's question. You just answered it right there. And, West Ham assets, likes of Bowen, Ben Rama. I know Fornals did well against Liverpool, my team. Appreciate Fornals took him out a few game weeks ago, and then you suddenly do well against my team. Typical, isn't it? Typical. But then Bowen's a lovely one. I just want to quickly just move straight to Yusuf's West Ham assets as you talk about just then, Nick. And definitely when you look at they're looking like a real lovely team, and I really do think when that City game comes away from home, Crystal Palace got the points against City away from home. I think West Ham are more than capable to give City a run for the money. Moyes has really got them going once again this season, and all the West Ham saying we're massive. But we'll go to Rob. What's your thoughts on West Ham assets? Are you eyeing any like Bowen? Jared Bowen very soon.
Or... Sold one. I sold Ben Rama last week, and I didn't regret it because at the time, obviously, I thought with the fixtures coming up for West Ham, having both Ben Rama and Antonio might be a little overkill. And I think it's a case for me personally, I probably won't feel like I need to go back there until my wild card, or even after my wild card. That Burnley fixture will probably be when I might go back to having two West Ham players, which means I can have a bit more time to see whether I'd want to go back to Ben Rama or have a look at Bowen, Fornals, or one of the defenders. I mean, Cresswell, we know that set pieces with him is a huge factor. Maybe even Soufal, if he comes back and is in form, because he's actually, out of him and Cresswell playing at fullback, he's the most attacking fullback, and he likes to sort of get right up past the right midfielder. So yeah, it's I think for me personally, it would be a wait and see. I probably wouldn't go piling into West Ham assets purely because they've got two of the top teams in the league in their next 4 games, and yeah, we know that they can pick up points, but there's a lot better fixtures out there that you can go and target. Like right now, I'd rather go, and if I had the choice between maybe if we take next week, well, let's say for the next 4 weeks, if I had the choice between Wilson and Antonio, I'd probably lean towards Wilson, like slightly. Don't know what everyone would.
Does anyone else think Declan Rice looks like? I know that, like,
blasphemy to the CDM, get out.
But if we need a cheap midfielder, because strikers suddenly decide to start scoring again, he just looks like he's getting a lot more involved further up the pitch than he used to. Like, and the stats don't really back it. I'm just saying, when I've watched West Ham this year, he does seem to be kind of more of a threat than he used to be. And he's only 5 million. I'm just thinking, if you need to save a bit of money somewhere.
So you're saying he's going to be the next Souček?
He's got 3 assists and 1 goal, so he's not exactly tearing it up. But he does seem to be a threat from corners, and he seems to be getting on the edge of the area for second balls and stuff like that, which I didn't. Well, not that I watched loads of West Ham, but I don't remember seeing too much of that from him in years gone by. Only a thought. He's £5 million. I just think he could become an option at some point.
Would it block you from ever wanting to triple up on them, though?
I suppose at the minute I've only got Antonio, but I do want Bowen.
I mean, I'm just looking at Burnley, Arsenal, Norwich. It'll be that time when you'd maybe be wanting to consider, especially if they're all fully fit, then I'd want a fully fit Antonio running up
also,
against.
If you're going to have Antonio and Bowen in, who are pretty decently priced anyway, then I just think that surely Gallagher and Smith Rowe are worth that extra 0.6 or 0.7 over Declan Rice.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. There's so much value in that position at the minute.
It's not like we're kind of limited with options in that price bracket. There are quite a few, even in Bumo, if you hang on to him and Brentford start doing better again. It's another one there.
I'd rather have Rice than Bumo.
Probably.
Even if
Rice
had to play in centre defence to cover on Bonner, I'd still go with him. I'm so sick of those Brentford. All I heard was the fixtures were good. The fixtures were good for 2 months, and it's just killed me.
Right, lads. We'll wrap things up there. Really enjoyed this stream. We're gone over for an hour, but another great stream. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. I want to thank my guests, especially Eddie from FPL Phillips, Rob FPL Panda, Josh and Ben from FPL Graduates, and Nick from FPL Juice. Like I said, all the links to the socials are in the description below. If you have enjoyed the stream, hit that like button, and please do consider subscribing. Thank you so much for your support and tuning in. Like I said, loving these guest streams, and there's more to come with this channel. So thank you so much, guys. Take care, and bye-bye.
Cheers.